Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trendy with Kim Allison. Today's guest, you guys, I landed my first podcaster, Hunter Donia of The Modern Hairdresser. That is the name of his podcast and his educational platform, which he is crushing it, you guys. If you don't follow him on Instagram at Hair by Hunty. I believe it's Hair by Hunty. God dang it. Why don't I write these things down before I hit record? Anywho, Hunter Donia, The Modern Hairdresser. You can just search it and he'll pop up. But fell in love with him instantly. We had such a fluid chat. It was so easy, just so relatable. He's so relatable. So just so much value he brings to the table in our industry. And I love his story. I like his honesty and literally everything about him. He could be my bestie, like easily be my bestie. So if you guys want to hear a great story of someone very young who started his journey as an educator at age 19, and you want to laugh, you want to relate, you want to learn, you'll get all of that in this episode. And I'm not going to do too much talking about me and my personal stuff, but you guys know I went to Behind the Chair, the BTC Trends Report 2025, and I did a live on that one. So if you go to YouTube and click on live, you'll learn all about it so I don't take up too much time. Alrighty, you guys, you're going to have fun listening. Oh my goodness. And of course, if you like what I'm doing, please comment, subscribe, review, like, all of the things. You know, you guys, I can't do this without you. So your support means the world. Enjoy.
Hello, I am Hunter, and you are listening to Trendy with Kim Allison.
Welcome to Trendy with Kim Allison. I have with me today Hunter Donia. Did I pronounce your name right?
You got it, Kim. Yes.
All right. Hey, look at me getting better with my phonetics. What is it?
Got it right.
Phonics. Anyway, he's a stylist, educator, and podcast host who's been showing up as his full, authentic self since day one. I'm excited to have him on to share how he built his salon starting with 0 clients in a salon suite and created valuable conversations on his podcast, The Modern Hairdresser. Now, are you ready to be inspired by this gem? Hunter, welcome to the show.
I'm so super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. You're my first guest that also has a podcast. So that's extra special for me today because I've wanted to collaborate with other podcasters for a while now. So thank you again for accepting my invite.
Absolutely. And I know from experience, collaborating with other podcasters just makes the process so much easier too, because you have a nice setup. People know how it all works. It's just nice and easy. So it's a pleasure to be here for sure.
You know what? You are absolutely right about that for sure. So I'm going to start off with just a little icebreaker because as with most guests, we've never met in person. We don't really know each other, right? Yep. And this podcast is to inspire the next generation of hairdressers. So I just like to keep it because we are hairdressers. We're a little lighter. We're a little airier. We don't get too serious, thank God, right? So you were voted most likely to be famous, I read.
In my high school yearbook.
Yes. Are you living in that prophecy now, or do you feel like you're just getting started?
It's funny you asked that. I feel like I'm not nowhere near the actual definition of famous. However, what I will say is that within my own little niche, right? And I find that at this point, after having the podcast and having my program and being an educator for about 5 years now, every single day I recognize how much more my voice has responsibility, right? There's a responsibility in what I'm saying because what I say on a podcast or what I say in a program or in an interview or in a class, people actually take that advice and make changes in their business and their life. So I don't know. I feel like I am living out that prophecy in one way or another, where I am actually moving people and people are listening to me and they care about what I have to say for whatever reason.
You know what? That feels good, doesn't it?
It feels good. It's also terrifying, but it's
Yeah.
also absolutely gratifying. And I'm absolutely so grateful that I get to make it the impact that I get to make. I'm grateful that people want to listen to what I have to say because I am coming from a space of experience and knowledge and wanting to make a true impact in people's lives. So I'm very grateful for it for sure.
Well, confidence speaks volumes, and I think people listen to people who appear or come across confident and educated, right? Valued. I
Sure.
love it. Where did you grow up, Hunter, and how did hair find you? Because I always say we don't find hair; I think it finds us, right?
I think that's so true. Yeah. So right outside of Philadelphia. So I live
Mhm.
in Philadelphia now, but I grew up
Oh.
outside in the burbs. And I, from a young age, had started expressing myself through hair and makeup. Definitely not how I look today, but when I was in seventh grade, I started to really experiment with my identity on the outside. And I started coloring my hair. I would like box dye and splat my hair every week. It was a different color. I was every color of the rainbow. I started to wear some makeup and experiment a little bit. And it was difficult for me to find a hobby or, I don't know, a club at school that I was really into besides chess. I did really enjoy chess, but my mom tried to put me into every single sport that you could think of, and it just was not clicking for me. And even with my ADHD, the normal, academics were a little bit tough for me to stay super inspired by. And I found out that my high school had a vocational cosmetology program. And I was really excited about it because this was something that I was already kind of naturally passionate about, using myself as a canvas and
Mhm.
expressing myself with beauty and things like that. And so I ended up going for it, somehow convinced my parents to let me sign up for the vocational school after begging and pleading. And I went there, and I remember first day walking into that class and like meeting all of my peers for that first year and then learning and the orientation, all the things. It was the first place where I truly felt celebrated for who I was. And it ended up being the place where I was really able to tap into my natural passion for making other people feel absolutely beautiful on the outside. I had been able to experience the gift of giving myself experimentation with beauty on the outside, and that made me feel more affirmed in who I was. And now I was becoming equipped with the skills to do that with other people. And it was a really beautiful beginning of this journey for me. I was very privileged to be able to join a vocational school and have parents who even let me go because it's not the case for a lot of people. But yeah, I started when I was 15 years old, my sophomore year of high school.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. And you never know when you're experiencing your own personal journeys and triumphs, you don't know that you want to take that and share it with the world. When you're in your own struggle, I have a friend
100%.
who found yoga just for herself because she had a liver transplant. And then now she teaches people how to be instructors. She has this whole platform. She said, I just feel like it overflows and I want to share it with everybody. So
Yeah.
you picked the right career. You look like you are a natural for sure. You know how to deliver, which I'm sure makes you a great educator and speaker, hence your podcast and your
Yeah.
education platform.
Thank you.
Let's talk about that podcast. You've got your podcast, The Modern Hairdresser. How do you keep things fresh when talking about hair in a way that doesn't feel stale?
Mhm.
Because we feel as hairdressers, you almost feel, I know I feel this way, right? When you get your little imposter syndrome, who cares? Does anybody even want to know this stuff, right? Can you relate?
Oh, 100% yes. So I am lucky to have a small team who works with me. And one of our team members, Jody Brown, she's absolutely amazing. She helps me with the marketing side of things. And she has to keep me in check with this a lot of the time because I'll be like, "Oh, I talked about this same topic a year ago, right?
Yeah.
I can't talk about it again." And she reminds me, as a strategic marketer, sometimes you just have to talk about the same thing over and over and over again because your audience it won't click for them until the 10th time that they hear it, right? And then, of course, as time moves forward, your messaging around or your philosophies or beliefs around whatever you're sharing also evolves alongside the time moving forward, right? I know that I have certain core beliefs or philosophies that I have been talking about since I started, but my context with them or the way that I approach talking about them has absolutely evolved and changed in a lot of different ways over the years. And furthermore, a thing that I really like to do, because I teach mostly the business side of things, is I like to see actually what is going on with the data right now in the world. I like to survey clients across the nation and see what they're preferring in salon visits and things like that. And I like to create new strategies that match that as well too. So I'm taking a lot of my same core philosophies that I think are very relevant still to this day that I've been talking about for years, but I just repackage them into a new, fresh, modern way and give my new current perspective about them. And then I do bring new stuff to the table that is inspired by what consumer behavior looks like right now. But then also, I have the privilege of working really closely with a lot of really high performing beautypreneurs. And I learn so much from them. And I share that wealth of knowledge and experience that I have with them, with the industry, and share what's working for those people right now as well, too.
Oh, no, that's great. You just inspired me with that little tidbit as well, because you're right. If you may have a listener or viewer just come across your platform for the first time. So if
Exactly.
if your foundational message isn't repetitive, repeat it. That makes sense, right?
Totally,
So
100%. There's
let's
so many
talk.
ways that you can
Yeah.
repackage it to make it a fresh perspective for everybody, I feel like. And we all have to be reminded of things sometimes too.
And I think that's where your strategic partner comes in, because
Yeah.
marketing is a whole thing. We can't be great at all the things. My good Lord, right? That's a
Oh,
whole nother
bless.
skill set. So good for you for that. You built that team that you have. And
Thank
let's
you.
talk about systems, because we know that's your thing, systems.
Yeah.
See, I pay attention. What's one behind the chair system every stylist needs to stop sleeping on, as in yesterday? And then on the flip side of that, what's one thing in your personal life you can't systemize no matter how hard you try?
All right, let's start with the
Mhm.
first one. So,
Okay.
first one, this is a really difficult question for me. I'm going to give an umbrella here. All right. I'm going to give the umbrella topic of just client communication in general, and systematizing it as much as you possibly can. And there's a couple different ways that we can tangibly do that. But the reason why it's important is because it takes up a lot more time than we really realize. And as a hairstylist, right, specifically, you are signing up for a full time job of labor, right? You are going into the salon, you have your booked appointments and hours, and you're working from X to X, and you are physically laboring away, right? But then if you're independent and you don't have a team of receptionists or other people helping you out, or even if you are an employee, you still have so many other responsibilities that you have to do on top of the full-time job of just doing the labor, right? So one of those big other jobs and tasks is the being the receptionist. It's
Yeah.
coordinating with clients, it's answering questions, it's rescheduling, it's scheduling, it's handling new client inquiries, all that stuff. And for you to be able to be proficient in being able to respond in an ideal amount of time to give people really excellent and prompt client experience and customer service. There has to be some sort of system for it, and we need to make sure that people can get the answers that they need without you having to manually be there. We have to make sure that you stay organized in your inquiries and that you can answer them as quickly and efficiently as possible, and that you don't miss them as well too. And we also just need to make sure that that entire part of your business, including all of them, are as efficient as possible to allow you to have more work-life balance, because working other jobs on top of a full-time job is absolutely exhausting, right? And
Yes,
you're going
it
to
is.
grow to be resentful and burn out, and you're also not going to be able to have time and energy to focus on the things that actually grow the business if all of these things that just maintain the business are always taking up so much of your time. And client communication is one of those things that's just maintaining the business, you could argue, versus actually growing the business, like marketing or taking education and things like that.
Oh, no. Perfect.
And then you had a second question for me. What are something in
Yes,
your personal life that you can't systematize?
that is correct.
Okay,
Glad you
so
remembered.
so I might be going a little off track here with this, but this is what first comes to mind. I think there's absolutely ways that we can systematize this, but I think we put too much pressure on ourselves to make it perfect, or we get really down on ourselves if it's not consistent, or we feel like it has to be consistent. which is our time management and our calendar and our schedule and our routines and things like that. I feel like we want what's the perfect morning routine for us, or what's the perfect calendar, or what's the perfect workday for us. And for me, I don't know if it's just because I'm a neurodivergent individual. Like, I don't know if it's just because I have ADHD, my hands in a lot of different things. I can't even imagine being a mom with kids, right? And being a business owner, right? There are just so many nuances in our day to day lives, so many nuances in what is keeping us motivated, our energy levels, all the things that I think that we need to be a little bit more realistic with how we treat ourselves and how much we give ourselves grace when the week didn't turn out exactly how we wanted it to turn out. We didn't get done everything that we wanted to get done. But on the flip side of that, we can absolutely still consistently try our best to time block, to show up to the things that we've time blocked and we planned on doing very intentionally. And of course, having the systems in place to make it so when you do go to work on a project, or when you are doing something in your personal life, that you've set yourself up for success, so that way it's as efficient as possible. But I think we need to give ourselves a little bit more grace as far as if your week wasn't absolutely planned perfectly, and if what that looks like changes in the future.
Oh, I agree with that. That's a good answer. And I would add to that, I think that we have this new, I guess, what do I call it? This world, this social media piece for all of us who weren't born with iPads in our hands.
Right.
So you have a whole new world that sits in your lap all day, every single day. And so when you are trying to give yourself grace, forgiveness, slow down, don't worry about it, that machine that keeps rolling, you feel like you're going to get kicked out of the loop somehow
Right.
and not be able to work your way back into it, if that makes sense. It's kind
Yeah.
of cuckoo.
It is a little crazy. The pressure to show up is real. That guilt that's inside of you and that's eating away at you if you're not showing up, if you're not being present, if you're not doing the things that we're all supposed to be doing, quote unquote, or what's expected of you, or what this other person is doing, right? Because we're comparing ourselves to everybody else as well, too. Then I feel like I totally feel where you're coming from. That can be very tough to sit with.
That's very stressful.
Mm.
But back to you, because I stress out about many things, especially social media. That's a whole nother story. But you educating since you were 19 years old, that is
Yeah.
no joke.
Mm.
So, what's a tip you gave early on that today kind of makes you cringe? I know for me, I have said things in the beginning, and when I think about those things I said today, I'm like, "Oh my lord, thank God we didn't
Yeah.
have social media back then."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
That is such a good question. I don't think without sitting down and really thinking about it, I can't think of anything that comes right off the top of my head. I'm sure that there's tons. One thing that does come to mind though, alternatively, if you'll take it, is I remember a piece of advice that I really almost believed and almost like guided me in one direction, and I didn't listen to it, and it turned
oh,
out
yeah, I'm
it was
interested.
so, and this is just my personal experience. Everybody's business is different, but this was my
Sure.
situation. So, I had moved to a completely brand new area. And when I first moved to that area, I was starting from scratch with clientele. And I started in a employee salon prior to going to open up my own salon suite. And when I joined this employee salon, I felt like I had already been posting on social. I knew I knew a little bit of what I had to do to grow my clientele, at least as far as consistency on social media goes and showcasing my work. And I remember I just posted the work that I wanted to do. I was very much like,
Yeah.
I want to just post all the stuff that I'm really passionate about. And it was just a natural inclination, right? And I remember a very seasoned stylist who I really looked up to in my salon at the time was like, "Hey, I only see you posting all of this balayage stuff. I think that you should try to post everything because if you're trying to grow your clientele, you're going to want a little bit of everything." And it made sense to me at the time. I was like, maybe I
Yeah.
do need to diversify the type of work that I'm posting and things like that. And I ended up, for whatever reason, not following that advice. And I just kept on going, especially once I opened up my salon suite and going even harder into only posting and only really specializing in the work that I wanted to do, which was low maintenance highlighting, right? And that was honestly one of the biggest reasons why I blew my clientele up, why I grew from like 0 to 3.5 month book solid with 5 new client requests a week. It was because I decided to niche down and be the expert in one thing. And I'm really glad that I didn't listen to that advice. As much as I absolutely respect that woman and I respect people with years and years and years of experience, I think that there's a million different ways that you can get to success. And I think that the journey and the path for me was going all in on that one thing and really capitalizing upon the marketing power of that. And I think if I were to have taken the advice of just doing everything and posting everything, then I would not have been as successful as I became.
No, I think that's a great answer. And when you really think about it, it's a little ridiculous in a world of artistry and creativity that we're in to think that there's only one way.
One.
But seasoned stylists, we love giving our 2 cents in every area.
Which I absolutely am grateful for. I think there's absolutely so many things to learn from people who have been in the game longer than me, 100%. And a lot of fundamentals that I believe are unfortunately becoming more and more forgotten, but becoming increasingly important. I just ran, like I said, I run a lot of surveys across clients across the United States who specifically visit salons for to get their hair done. And so funny because it's never the answers that these clients give me when I ask, like, makes you choose this stylist over another, or what do you want to see on a website when you're considering a hairstylist, you want to book with them, whatever it may be, or what makes you keep coming back. It never, at least right now, it's not the sexy stuff. It's not, oh, they have a great social media profile, right? Like,
Right.
not like, oh, they had like the coolest like booking site or something like that. It's always they created a relationship with me. I really liked who they are, who they were as a person. They were professional, they had great customer service. And those are the type of fundamentals that I really look up to in seasoned professionals because it's just been such a strong fundamental for a lot of the successful people who have been in it for 20, 30 plus years that they have kept with them and that they're always sharing with younger generations of hairstylists that I think that we don't pay enough attention to because it almost seems too obvious, yet we don't show up intentionally and really think about how we're showing up in that way and doing it and giving our clients really great service.
No, great point, and I relate to everything you're saying. You literally just told my story. I came from a really huge salon called Tony and Guy, and it was number
Yeah,
1 in the world back then,
right.
and when I left that salon, I was so scared. I was like, "Oh, no, we have the EDM music, the white, and we have the name, and it's, stylist in here. Who's gonna come with me? I can only afford this little studio in Old Town." Every single person came. That's who. And they're
Period.
like, "I don't care where you work, girl. I'll come to your house." And that's when I
Yep.
got it. That it's like, ding, it's me. That's why they're
Yes.
here, not this building. So anyway, back to you. You opened a suite as we just discussed, in a city where no one knew you, is what do I have that right?
Yeah,
When did
literally.
you when did you first think, "Okay, this is actually working. I got it."
It's a good question. So, I I started out when I was 19 as an educator, and I don't know if you've educated for a brand before, but to
Not
educate for a brand, you they assimilate you into the culture and they really get you to drink the Kool-Aid. And one of their biggest, which they should, to make you an effective educator,
sure.
right? To be bought into the brand, um, and one of the biggest things that they teach you is they teach you how to sell the product, and they also teach you how to teach the stylist how to sell the product as well. Because if the product isn't selling, then the brand is not doing well, right?
Right.
I really a lot about sales. I learned a lot about sales and implementing sales into the client experience and creating a really next level client experience as well. And I loved it. I just naturally was really passionate about it. I like loved the challenge of figuring out how could I raise my average ticket? How much retail could I sell in a day? And I found that it wasn't just about like me business nerd. It was also me being just really obsessed with the impact that it genuinely made in my clients. Like if they went home with the right things, if they got the right add-ons, then they actually saw really great results and they loved their hair every single day in between the appointments. And that made a big difference and that mattered to me, right? So I became really obsessed with the business side of things kind of naturally. And one of the things that I was missing though was like super foundational marketing skills And like I said, I was posting all of my balayage stuff just because it was just kind of like a natural inclination, I guess, but I wasn't really doing it with purpose. And before I opened up my salon suite, I knew that I needed to like really all in and figure out how the hell I'm going to grow this clientele. And I already understood that like sales was really important and cool, and I was already interested in it. So then I was like, okay, well, I need to get my skills up and I need to understand like marketing. And so I got some education, industry specific, non-industry specific. I started to listen to podcasts. I read some books, whatever it may be. And I was able to really understand how to take this thing that I specialized in and take this suite that I was about to open and advertise the hell out of it in a way that was going to really resonate with people. And once I hyped up my up to opening up the salon suite, I knew what I was doing with marketing. And once I opened that thing up, like I had people starting to request me left and right. And
Amazing.
once I started to like see books being like solidly for like in a month plus, and that happened very quickly. That's when I knew I was onto something and that I was creating some great stability. And I was working my ass off to make it happen, but that hard work definitely paid off.
I can relate again. I just wasn't a social media era, but I
Right,
was at Tony and Guy, which was a huge brand, and we were taught how to cut hair the way they cut hair, how to upsell TG and bedhead products. We
right.
educated for beauty schools and what have you back then. So I totally get that, and you're proud to be a part of this brand, and you're the brand. That's just what you do, and
Yep,
you does teach you the business side of things and how
totally.
to upsell and how to grow a ticket without sounding salesy
Yep.
and douchey. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
totally.
yeah, I that and your point, the hard work part I think is what's getting missed today. That it didn't just happen overnight. There's a
Yeah.
lot of work that goes into it. Hunter, do you think TikTok trends are helping or hurting the next generation of hairdressers? Speaking of all of this, and how do you play in that space without getting lost
Yeah.
yourself?
I mean, you great lead into those questions because you were saying like I think the hard work is kind of like people are expecting like overnights, and I think that the instant gratification of looks like to become over successful overnight from social media, like that vision that's out there, or what you may see other people experiencing or have experienced. And our of attention span just because of our addiction to social media and in general is contributing to our lack of tolerance for delayed gratification, I think. And so I believe that social media really does not help us in a like psychological perspective. And I think it really gets the best of us as business owners. And I think where we really need to flip our perspective, which I believe is that easier said than done, but I think that I've a pretty okay job at it because I'm intentional about it and I think about it, is remembering that this can be a great opportunity. It can be a great tool. And you need to think about it as a tool. You need to think about it as, like you were at Tony and Guy, right? Like
Yeah.
we have the tool of social media. We didn't have the opportunity to reach a ton of people in such a short amount of time with small amount of effort, right? Like it's a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort to go out and hand out your business cards on the sidewalk or in the mall or whatever it may be, because I've done that
Amen.
too,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
so it takes a lot of effort to do that, but it does not take a lot of effort to post on social media. And I think what really look at it and you take they fall into emotions around it, right? Because you'll start to, I know I do, I fall into comparison, I fall into feeling like perfectionism. Am I posting the right thing? Imposter syndrome. Who am I to be talking about this, right? That really jades us from remembering that this is a really beautiful opportunity that we have to utilize this and reach a lot of people in a short amount of time, and it's free, right? So I
That
think
part.
that's powerful to remember and to almost be grateful for the fact that we can use these tools. And how I decide to look at it, if that's the question that you're asking me. And then with trends, you know, look at my social media. I really don't do any trends. I actually don't really do TikTok either. We're mostly on Instagram still to this day. I probably should be on TikTok, but we're still on Instagram to this day. And a lot of the time, like for like one of the recent trends that just came out at the time of recording this was everybody was doing their AI
Oh, I
box.
did. That was
Exactly,
cute.
right? So, I mean, it's adorable. Like, I'm here for
Yeah.
it, and there's nothing wrong with trends, but that's the perfect example of like a really huge client acquisition strategy for me, for both clients and for both hairstylists. And I don't follow any trends. I stick to
Yeah.
my marketing. I stick to what works for me and my specific audience. And I don't really, me and my marketing people, we don't look at the trends and then we follow them, or we feel some sort of urgency around them. But what we do works. And so we don't follow the trends and it works very well for us. And then simultaneously, on the flip side of this, is there anything wrong with following the trends? Absolutely not. They're very fun. They're very cool. They're very attention. And as long as you are approaching it strategically as a business owner, and there's a reason for you doing it in the first place, then take advantage of them. If that's your shtick, it's whatever is going to resonate better with your specific audience, with how you like to approach social media, how you're going to approach it the best way possible because of your natural strengths. But at the end of the day, have our own individual nuances, businesses, strengths, weaknesses, etc. And I think that really has to be taken in consideration. And we shouldn't be fitting ourselves into other people's boxes, I guess you could say.
No, I agree with you 100%. I don't have time to keep up with every single trend,
No.
I don't. And I use social media. I farm my YouTube channel mostly, and I
Yeah.
use social media as our Instagram as a distribution channel.
Yep. I
So
love
that's
that.
how
And
I use it.
what a beautiful strategic way to look at it, right? And like that's why
Yeah.
I would encourage everybody listening to this, like really about like, is the channel for your marketing, or is this big crazy scary thing that's going to be like taking over life? Because that's a lot of the time what it feels like. But when we put our CEO hats on, I love that perspective. I feel like the perspective you just shared is putting a CEO hat on and really looking at
Yeah.
it as a channel, as a tool.
Yeah, and the simplified version is nobody cares, is what you
Yeah,
realize. Post your shit.
so
Nobody
true.
cares,
So true.
not me. So, anyways, I love pop culture. I don't know if I shared that with you or not. And speaking of trends in pop culture, I love this conversation flow because it is segueing perfectly into my questions,
I love it.
which make it so much easier.
Oh, so good.
I know, Hunter, from your bio that you love Lady Gaga.
Oh,
So if Lady Gaga sat in your chair and said, Hunter, just do your thing.
oh
What
my
are you
God.
doing? And are you crying after you do it?
I'm crying
You're
when I
crying.
get the inquiry. I'm crying in the consultation, crying while I'm doing the hair, all the things.
I love
Um,
that. That's hilarious.
okay,
Do you like her hair? What would you do?
her
Like, do
hair
you
is almost always amazing, and I love that it changes all the time. So funny you asked this. I think it's from the Judas music video. I'm pretty sure it's from there. I love she has like a blonde bob, but like in the top are all like gelled, and it's almost like it's all out of her face and just like I don't know, like but
I know
it's short.
exactly what you're talking
You know
about.
what I'm talking about? And it's blonde. I think that's like one of the coolest, simplest like hairstyles she ever had that I absolutely love. So that's probably the one that I would go and I
I
would
would
go for.
love to know who her stylist is. She has a great stylist because
Yeah, I
I
think
have
that
I
she
mean,
switched a little bit.
huh?
I think she switched up a little bit here and there,
Oh,
but I
did
could not tell you
she?
names, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Because I have like, and this light fun shade, but I have this thing with celebrity hairdressers.
Mhm.
Celebrity. I'm like, look at red carpets. The hair just looks all right.
Literally.
I'm like,
Real.
is that just me? I'm like, oh, some beach waves. You put her hair in a bun. I mean, what are you doing here? Why are you a
No,
celebrity? I
I
don't know.
totally feel that. I feel like we have a responsibility as hairstylists, especially if we're working for somebody in the public eye, to like really make so it is something that stands out or something that is complimenting that person with like a look or something. And I feel like with Gaga, like there's always some sort of like interesting to it. There's always some sort of interesting perspective to it. Like even now at the time of recording this, like she's in Mayhem era and it's like this black long hair, but it's like I don't know what they call these cuts nowadays. Talking about not following trends, but like I think they call this like the thing or something. They
Oh,
have
the jellyfish layers.
is that what it
That's
is? She
actually
has
yeah,
like
that's actually in my next question. That's hilarious.
nah, she has like black long sideburns like across bangs, but then the rest of the length is like really long. It's almost like a
Yes.
mullet, but like
Yep.
polished.
Yep.
It's interesting. So I think that I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying.
That's so funny. And I love that you don't follow trends, you know? I mean, they're short-lived anyway,
That's
but
true.
I'm gonna ask my question anyway because I'm
Okay.
curious now to see what your answer would be.
Okay.
Big jellyfish layers, which in my brain, jellyfish layers are those oh, I hate them so much, where your hair is down to your waist and you have, like, your start right here and they go doop,
Right.
doop. I'm like, "Oh." Anyway, or expensive brunette, which 20 trend. Are you ready to retire, and which one are you loving, if any? Even
What's
know
the
what any of these are.
what was the first one?
So Bixie, you know, the Bixie bob, it's been around for quite a while.
I feel like
It's
I
like
know
where
what
you
you're talking about.
yeah, it has the, butterfly and it looks
Yes.
a little wispy, but it's actually a bob, that
Yes, I know
little
what you're talking about. And then
fun,
what's the rich brunette?
ex
Sorry, y'all. I'm sorry for
expensive
those of you who already know
brunette.
what this is.
Yeah, there's expensive brunette, you know, beautiful chocolate color we're seeing, which I love,
Yeah.
or the jellyfish layers, or any trend that
You
you
know what?
know
I'll
of.
get rid of us having to name all this shit and know what this stuff is.
That is the perfect answer. I am here for that. I am so tired of the names,
Like,
baby
if somebody
everything.
sat in my chair and was
Can
like,
we
"I want a
stop?
jellyfish cut," I would be like,
Yeah,
"Girl, what the hell are you talking?" I'm like, "Show me a picture, because
and then
I cannot."
it was
Yes,
wolf,
the
and
wolf
it was the
cut, yes.
butterfly. I'm like
I
and I
can't.
feel like with rap, you know, as baby, I feel like the hair world has adapted this. I mean,
Yes,
baby lights, baby high, whatever. Like,
yes.
come on. I'm
So
Hunter,
funny.
100%.
We can't keep up. I'm over
So
it.
getting into your personalities, things that you do know, let's do a little deep dive on you. I know
Okay.
you've been skiing over 200,000 vertical feet, visited 12 national parks, and still run a full platform. How do you refill your cup mentally? Like literally, how that's adventure.
Yeah, an interesting question because, does fill my cup mentally, but then at the same time, it doesn't, right? Because you're expending energy to be able to do those things, you know?
Talk about refill, right?
Yeah.
Cup. It's like if I think about because I'm afraid of everything. So if I think about skiing, I'm drained.
Yeah.
I'm on E
Yes.
fumes. I couldn't wake up the next day. Okay, well now I'm gonna go do my show. Okay, now I'm gonna go
Yeah.
to educate. Nope,
You
I'm
know what?
done.
I really don't know if I have a great, classic for this, that I have a day where I'm not doing anything or anything like that. But honestly, I genuinely and I maybe this is corny, but this is just, what feels right. It's genuinely just, I really love what I do. Like, I like all the things that I do. And, oh my god, absolutely, there's parts of it that, I'm dragging my feet for, but, the mission that I'm a part of and that I'm doing, I'm really excited and happy to do it, and, I thought that's what just keeps me going. I don't think that there's much a need to intentionally refill the cup when I am so grateful that I get to do what I love every day, you know? It's just
God, I
peaceful.
love you. I love you that much more. That is
Thank
I
you. I
love
do.
So, as someone, Hunter, because there are many others with ADHD, what
Mm,
advice do you give stylists who feel like, you know, just runs 20 tabs all at once? You know, boop, boop, boop.
yeah.
Son has ADHD. You
I
got to keep
100%.
yourself, you know,
And you know what? That's for me, why, the systems guy, right? That's what I really started out with, and I continuously make a big part of what I teach. Is when, at least for me, I need guardrails,
yeah,
right? I need to set up things in my life that make sure that I stay on track. And that
yeah,
could literally be just because having ADHD, even as an adult, right? It says there. And even these things not discipline in the morning to get out of bed at when the alarm goes off versus sit and scroll on your phone, right? That's a small stupid thing that I have to struggle
yeah.
with. The guardrail that I have in place is I put my phone in a room before I go to bed. And I have a alarm clock right next to me, right? So that's gonna force my ass to get up and go into the other room and actually be up when my alarm goes off. And I don't have the option of sitting in bed and just scrolling on it, right? And then for example, behind the chair, right? I up the systems to make it so I don't have the option of doing the things that I need to do. So for example, like I am an online booking only stylist. So like my can't book through me. They have to book online. And that makes it so I never have to necessarily remember to send a text back or reschedule Susie or whatever it may be. Of course, I still get texts and of course I get inquiries and stuff like that. But 90% of my clients are taking care of themselves and they know how to, and they're empowered with the tools and the knowledge. And I've set up the experience so they can do that themselves. Otherwise, if I was overwhelmed with a million different text messages, emails, DMs, and things in all these different places, then I might forget about them. I might be on to the next thing. My brain might be on to the next thing while I'm reading the email, because that's oftentimes what ADHD looks like. It's like you walk to the kitchen to make your coffee, but while you're on the way, you remember that you want to brush your teeth. But while you're going back to brush your teeth, then you realize like, oh, I need to do my litter. So then you go to do the cat's litter and then nothing ever gets done. Like that's what ADHD feels like to me. Everybody's different, but I think a lot of people can relate. And so just again, like setting up guardrails, setting up the systems, setting up accountability. Accountability is huge. I have a lot of neurodivergent students because they're attracted to me because I have what they feel, and I build systems that work really well for them. And one of the biggest things that I like to build into my program is accountability and community. Because like if you say, hey, I'm going to finish this project by X date, I'm gonna be like, okay, well, you're gonna post in the Facebook group that finished product on X date, and I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna see if you actually did it or not, right? And that accountability is going to make somebody motivated to actually get it done, right? It's going to hold somebody accountable. So it's the guardrails, it's the systems, it's the accountability, making it so you are putting in realistic ways and things and into your life that are going to make it so you get some shit done. Up for the most success is how I've handled my ADHD.
I think that's a great way to handle it. And as you're talking, I'm just thinking about my kid and remembering, a bag of trash by the back door because he forgot he was on his way out the door and got
Yep.
sidetracked. And, helps me with this podcast. And God bless me, help me, look.
Well, may I share with you? So
Yes.
my ex for like 4 to 5 years, and my
Yeah.
had OCD, like diagnosed very stereotypical OCD, like your good old like everything has to be perfect, like there has to be absolutely clean, right? And me, I'm like a walking tornado, right? Like I like to keep things clean. I don't want to be a tornado, but it's just a part of who I am. And so living with him, I became extremely aware of my ADHD and face it a lot more than I ever had before. And I was also able to learn what living with somebody else and what their perspective is of my behavior. And a big thing that I discovered was, when I don't put my shoes on the shoe rack and instead they're like on the doormat instead, put up there, right? That small little thing to a partner or to somebody who you live with can look like a big sign of disrespect, especially if you've been talked to about it multiple times, you for a person who has ADHD, it's so difficult because you walk into the door and you are not focused on what is happening right now at all. Like your is in the next room while you are walking through the door, your is on the next task while you're doing that task. And you are literally just fully not thinking about it. And I just had to try my best to slow down, be more diligent, be more respectful, even like, I don't know, make sure that things had a place for me to put them or that were obvious and out there. Again, adding systems, adding guardrails, adding like physical things in your life to make things easier and to be more respectful of your space and other people. But it's a very hard thing to do because in one hand, you do have this actual disorder almost, right?
Yeah.
Something that makes it intellectually harder for you to process these things the same way that a neurotypical person does. And so you want to give yourself grace and you want other people to give you grace. But then at the same time, we also need to recognize how our actions are affecting the people around us. And we need to put in a strong amount of effort to make it so that we aren't, are ignorant at the same time.
Oh, no. I mean, I just diagnosed myself with ADHD listening to you because
Yeah.
you might as well be me. My husband is OCD and everything you just described, I'm you.
Yep.
And we have now narrowed it down to one room. Let me have that one room where it just looks chaotic, but the
Yes.
rest of the house looks unlived in.
I
So,
love that.
yeah.
We had that too, because I had an
Did you?
office in our guest room, and the guest room became my like throw around room. And of course, I clean it
I'm
up, right? Like I clean it up,
the
but
Seriously, and it did make me mindful because I didn't feel like I was chaotic and a mess until we together as one, and I
Yeah.
realized like, oh, I guess having 2 dishes in the sink doesn't send me into any type of
Spiral.
unrest.
Yes.
I'm 100% fine.
Yes.
No, that is so funny. Gosh, I can relate literally to everything you're saying. So,
Yeah.
Hunter, you came out via Facebook in the 7th grade,
Yes.
which already shows boldness. Now
Yes.
you're living in Philly's neighborhood, those are your words,
Yes.
everybody, not mine. You're running a business, building a platform, and showing up online daily. That's a lot of visibility.
Yeah.
How has being unapologetically you shaped your brand and your relationship with your audience?
Yeah, really good question. And if you like go on Apple Maps or like Google Maps or anything like
Okay.
that, and you like scroll over and like my neighborhood literally does say like neighborhood. So
Are you
official.
joking?
Yeah, it's like a real.
Oh, that's a thing. Okay.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
I'm safe to
So
say that.
yeah, you're absolutely safe to say that. Good. My really being gay, and especially being from such a young age. I was talking about how I express myself with like hair and things like that.
Yeah.
And when I was 7th grade, I mean, of coming out on Facebook was not an easy thing to do. Like walking into with like rainbow hair, like wearing makeup, and like girls' clothes and stuff like that. Like it was not an easy thing to do. Like that took a lot of courage. That
Yeah.
I think that the naive and more courageous, invincible, youthful mindset that I may have had at the time, uh, uh, just build up the courage to go and do that. I don't know, like
Yeah.
if I have the same amount of courage that little Hunter had, like right now.
Yeah.
And what for me at the time, it was almost like I'd rather fight through the BS and have the courage to do it anyway versus decide not to be myself. Like it was the discomfort of facing what other people may think of me versus the discomfort that is always lingering and much deeper of me not showing people who I was or expressing myself as who I was or living in my truth. That
Yeah.
discomfort was way worse in perspective and in comparison to what other people may think of me. And what ended up happening was, what I've been able to kind of uncover over the amount of time, that I'm just showing up as who I am and not really giving a shit,
Yeah.
is that the right people will be attracted to me. The right people will celebrate me. The right people will surround me and accept me for who I am. And the wrong people won't. And I don't give a shit because they don't affect my life in any way, shape, or form, right? They're not paying my bills. Landlord, they're not the person who is, controlling or affecting me in any way, shape, or form. So why the hell would I care about them? And the flip side of that, like, I know the right people are going to are going to come to me. And those are the people who deserve my time and energy and attention. And not to mention, if I decide to not show up as myself, then I therefore am deciding to not be there for people and be possibly an inspiration to somebody else who's hiding, to a kid who may not have the same privileges as me or same courage as me, who may see me one day and be like, oh my God, like I maybe be like that too. I can be myself and I can be successful as well. I'm not the right people to resonate with me, and that is not fair in my circumstance, in my experience. I don't believe that that's fair for me to hide who I am just to be accepted by a bigger crowd. Because
Absolutely.
because who the hell are they at the end of the day? I care
Exactly.
about showing up authentically, surrounding myself with the right people, and because of that, having a voice and making a difference and an impact in people's lives.
No, there's a saying that says, those who don't mind and those who mind don't matter.
Yes.
And it's classic. It's true. Who people who are strangers think, and we do in this world, we spend money we don't have to impress people we don't know,
Literally.
that stuff like that as people. So good on you that,
Thank
and younger, great choice. I am just now learning how to swim. Had I learned how to swim younger, it would have
you.
been so much easier. Anything you do younger, you're
Yes.
fearless
Oh,
because you don't have the filter of just evil
yes.
yet.
So true. Very,
So
very
there's
true.
nothing to really be afraid about. You're more of your parents, but
Totally.
nobody else. you know?
100.
Yeah, that's
Thank
amazing. I love your journey, your story, literally everything about you. What's next to Hunter, the podcaster and the person? Where are you
Yeah.
headed from here as we close out?
Yeah. Thank you for your kind words, Kim. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So next for me is I'm like my program that I dealt with and the program that I'm going to continue with. Uh, I am expanding it to be so much more than what it used to be. What it used to be was teaching people how to automate and streamline their client experience. And that stuff was absolutely powerful. It changed 1,000+ stylist lives. And I absolutely love everything that we taught in there. And we're still going to teach those things. But at this point in my career, as an educator, as a business consultant, I have been able to touch and be engaged with so many different stylists from so many different places, so many different types of specialties, and all the things. And I have a lot of experience and a lot of a really strong finger on the pulse of like what is on in the world right now, what works well for stylists in all aspects of the business, in marketing, in client experience, in operations, and in just having a foundationally strong brand and set up yourself. And so, what I'm creating is a program where you can come in as you are, whether you are just starting out as an employee, or whether you're starting out as an independent, or whether you're really advanced, whether you're really seasoned, or you have, or 3 months. And no matter where you're coming in from, you are going to be able to benefit from our class, and you're going to be able to have personalized solutions, and you're not going to be stuffed into one little box and be told to go through an 8 module course and everything works for everybody. It's going to have a lot of different dynamic, innovative tools and a lot of personalization to meet everybody where they're at, which I don't believe I was able to do prior. So really, really excited to be able to expand my capacity to be able to serve the industry in a much larger and bigger way.
And that's great for you too as an entrepreneur because you've left room to just keep going. This thing could go the next 50 years if you wanted to.
Yeah. And that's the part of the goal is create scalability so that way, I get more people. When I had people who DM'd me and I didn't have a solution for them because I was like, damn, like if I had like this part of my program built out, then I'd be able to help this person right now when they need it, right? And so now we're gonna have that. Now I'm not gonna have any we'll wait a year, and I'd be like, yep, here you go, right there. There's a solution. Go ahead and do this module, and you'll be good to go. And
Oh
I'm
my gosh,
excited.
congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Congratulations. That's amazing. And you start though in order
Absolutely.
to even curate these of your business. Learn everything in the beginning stages, I'm sure. Things that you would not do moving forward, right?
Totally. Yep. Yeah, you can fail because every single take you learn something along the way.
Yes, that's great. That's a great closer. And with that, we're going to get into a little fun. As I told you off camera, I do the 60-second blowout at the
Yes.
end of every show. And you don't get out of here without going through the 60-second blowout. So
Do it.
I'm gonna timer and then we will get into it.
All right. I'm
And this
nervous.
is when I get to actually see, which is amazing. Okay. What's one in your salon suite right now that totally doesn't belong there?
Oh, well, I'm actually a team salon now, and for the first time ever, I saw this massive vacuum that they have for Brazilian blowouts, and I don't do them, but they're supposed to like suck the air, and I thought it was super fascinating, but I ain't doing them, so it doesn't belong in my space.
If your tattoos could talk, which one would be the loudest?
Um,
One of them.
this lobster that I have because I love lobster and
Hilarious.
I eat them all the time, so it'd probably be like disgusted with me.
Have you ever faked like an idea?
Oh, all the time.
Of
But
course.
I'm somebody who's like about and I'm gonna do what they kind of ask you in my still, but yeah, all the time.
Love it. Bald forever or never ski again?
Bald forever or never ski again? Bald forever because it's gonna happen
You're-
to me inevitably, and so I've just kind of accepted it. I
Oh,
can't
that
stop.
is hilarious. I'm going to set the timer again and then we're going to go rapid.
Okay,
One
I'm gonna
word.
try harder. I'm gonna try harder.
Okay, ready? Because you only got through 4. We need more than 4. We make it fun. Okay, I'm gonna add that first one again. Okay. Bald forever or never ski again.
Bald forever.
Favorite Lady Gaga era.
Art pop.
Out or air dried. You'd never get again.
Ugh. This
Neither
lion
or Dead by Daylight.
all day, every day.
Time you rage quit a game.
Oh, probably like last night.
A song that instantly lifts your mood.
Abracadabra by Lady Gaga right now.
What's something totally random that makes you cry every time?
Thinking about Lady Gaga.
Weirdest hair request you've ever gotten?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
Oh, most used emoji.
the sparkle emoji. I love the sparkle emoji.
Woohoo! See, there you go.
Thanks for giving me
You
a second
killed
round. I
that.
appreciate it.
No, they're really fun, light, airy. It just kind of at the end of the episode. Hunter, where can the people find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Instagram at hairbyhunty, or you can go to hunterdonia.com. And Kim, thank you so much for having me here today. I do a bit of podcast interviews, and sometimes like the facilitation can be a little bit weird or like feel too uptight. And you just definitely made me feel so comfortable here today. I actually had so much fun speaking with you. So I really appreciate you creating this space. And I also appreciate you creating for other beauty to be able to tune into and listen to, because people need it for sure. So thank you. I appreciate you.
Oh my gosh, that warms my heart. Thank you. I guess I'm on the right track because
Oh yeah,
sometimes the syndrome, it kicks in. You're like, I don't, does anybody, who cares? Right. So I'm going to keep going
you
based
should.
on those words. That was inspiring, encouraging. So I appreciate you saying that, Hunter.
Absolutely.
All righty. And good luck with your podcast and everything you're doing. And hopefully we can have you back on later on down the road sometime.
I would friggin' love it. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Amazing. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.